The TGM series is known for being one of the most difficult yet cherished versions of Tetris, and with 3 successful games from 1998 to 2005, it would be inevitable that a 4th game would come out. But that's not the case. The development process would turn out to be utter hell and would end up taking 17 years and running, because the game still isn't out. This is the story of Tetris the Grandmaster 4, the Masters of Round, and the troubled development that it faced. Previously, I discussed the origins of TGM and an overview of the first 3 TGM games, which you can check out here. But to quickly recap, Tetris the Grandmaster is a series known for being super difficult. The main gimmick of the game is its grading system, in which you are given a grade based on how well you're playing. There's also an interesting leveling system and 20G gravity, aka when the piece drops instantly. The first game was a simple marathon, but the second and third games added more modes, the ability to insta-drop, a more complex grading system, and in the third game, exams. After that, however, it was nothing but radio silence. Instead, Arika was pumping out games like Dr. Mario Express and Endless Ocean. The closest we got to a TGM game was called Jewelry Master, a Tetris-esque game that was released for Windows back in 2006, which happened to share many elements from the TGM series, but nothing straight up official. The series was still growing a strong fanbase, however, with many players across the world wanting more TGM goodness, and that's what they would get 4 years later. August of 2009, Mihara announced that a prototype of a new TGM game would be shown at the Amusement Show Expo in Japan the month after. Fans of the series speculated as to what features and fixes the game might have, removing World Roll, an invisible mode, and 55 different grades were all suggestions pitched in from the community. However, what we didn't expect was this. TGM4 The Masters of Round was showcased on September 16, 2009. The prototype was based off of TGM3, retaining the same music and sound effects from the previous game. Everything else, however, was much different. Compared to the previous themes of biology, industrial, and astronomy, TGM4 is nature-themed. The background cycles between different seasons, from flowers to autumn trees to the bright sun. It's also a lot more colorful compared to the previous games. The prototype had 4 modes: Master, Rounds, Kamui, and Konoha. Master is very similar to the one in Tap, but like TGM3, won't show your grade until after your game is over. Rounds is like the Death/Shirase of TGM4, but with some added haze effects every 300 levels. Konoha is a new addition to the TGM series. Basically, the pieces have doubled in size, and it's your goal to get through the game as fast as possible in under 3 minutes. You can gain extra time if you're able to perform an all clear, or to completely clean the whole board. The last mode left is Kamui, which is the only mode that has barely any coverage about it still to this day. It was originally going to be in TGM3, but was scrapped. According to Mihara, the goal of Kamui was to score as high as possible in a 5-minute time limit. You had the ability to get a fixed piece sequence or stick to a random one, but it would always loop after 256 pieces. The game ended when the timer ran out. At the end of the amusement show, TGM4 made it into the top 10 most popular games at the event. The video game company Sega was willing to publish the game for Arika if it wasn't for another wildly unique Tetris game that ended up scoring first place. Tetris Giant. It's Giant Tetris. I don't know if I need to say more here. And this is where the cookie starts to crumble. Despite the not so successful performance of TGM4 at the expo, Mihara decided to try testing the game again 6 years later. By this point, the game had amassed a huge following due to the growth of social media and YouTube, other Tetris games like Tetris Friends becoming popular, forums like Tetris Concept where people could talk about Tetris, and a massive speedrunning marathon known as Games Done Quick. Games Done Quick was an event that was held in Herndon, Virginia, and was known for being the place to show off your speedrunning skills in a specific video game. So many games that you may have loved were being beaten in record times. It was impressive. All 3 TGM games were shown off by 4 skilled Tetris players: Kitaru, Color Thief, Kevin DDR, and Alex. They showcased all the modes that were available and even a smooth secret grade pattern performed by Kitaru. Kevin DDR also managed to get a Master M in TGM 3, which was the highest grade that anyone outside of Japan had at the time. This event had caught the attention of Mihara and decided that because of the growing popularity of the game, they should show off the current state of TGM 4, now renamed TGM 2015 due to a lack of the Tetris license. So, on June 13th, 2015, many players pulled into the Round 1 in Puente Hills Mall in Southern California to play the sacred game only seen and heard online. I got the chance to talk to Kitaru and Color Thief, 2 veteran Tetris players who attended the location test, and what I found out was that the game had a serious flaw.
In other TGM games, you have 3 rotation buttons. You have counterclockwise, clockwise, and a alternate counterclockwise that will help you do quick 180 inputs if you flick the 2. In TGM 4, there was the proposed special button. If you were pressing the button, it caused a delayed auto shift to activate instantly. If you knew you wanted the next piece to move quickly, you would just press that special button.
This special button was present in the 2009 build of the game, but was planned to be cut from the 2015 build, and instead would have had the rightmost button, or button C, be clockwise. Except it wasn't. In fact, it was worse.
The rightmost button made the control scheme world rule. Like, if you were holding this button, this became right rotate and this became left rotate, and up became hard drop. It messed everything up. So no one was pressing C the entire location test because it was already messing us up and we couldn't figure out why. So that was the big difference from the 2009 test.
Despite this bug, the game at the location test received positive reviews.
But I enjoyed it a lot. I thought the art direction was fantastic. They had really nice color design in all the backgrounds, and they were animated in a cool way. I don't know, it looked like it was going to be a really solid experience. The great hope was that TGM 4 might be, even at worst, it might have been like a slightly better TGM 3, but just running on more powerful hardware and not lagging. So that was the hope.
Overall, the game seemed rushed and unfinished, but it was still a great sight to see the game in action and a great time for everyone who was there. That was 7 years ago. It's been 17 years since TGM 3 and 7 years since the last we saw of TGM 4. So what exactly happened after the TGM 4 location test? Well, it's hard to say, because the only updates on the game that we have are from Mihara's Twitter account, and those updates have always been vague and are becoming rarer and rarer. The most recent announcement that we've had was from November of 2021, which was just Mihara tweeting that there was going to be an announcement about a TGM home console port, but it got delayed. It was an announcement for a delay. So what's really stopping Arika from releasing the game? Well, Tetris historians have speculated that it could be due to several different reasons, some of which have been plaguing the game since the very beginning. But in the end, it all boils down to competition between official games and fan-made clone games. I've already mentioned that Sega's Tetris Giant was a competitor to TGM 4, but another one that Mihara viewed as a competitor was Heberus, a tap clone made in 2001 by Japanese player Kenji Hoshimoto, aka Hoseken. The game was popular because of how accurate it was to the original game at the time, and how customizable it was too. Unfortunately, the game ended up being taken down by Mihara himself for copyright infringement. People are also still creating and playing clone games, which are still heavily prevalent and are now a big and crucial part of the TGM scene. In fact, some of these clone games go above and beyond the originals, such as Cambridge, which is an open source arcade stacker that not only replicates TGM, but also has modes and rotation systems from other games. You can even create your own modes and rule sets. There's also more standard clones out there like Shiramino with added pentaminodes, aka 5 minos instead of the usual 4. There have even been efforts to reverse engineer the games, but those projects have been kept in secrecy due to Mihara's tendencies to strike down any TGM related project that isn't official. So we're in a catch-22 situation. People won't stop emulating and playing clones until a new TGM game is released, but Mihara won't make a new TGM game unless people stop emulating and cloning. How long is this gonna last? Honestly, we'll never know. And that was the first 4 games in the TGM franchise. From its origins to its development to its release, the series has gone through a lot in these past 24 years. But the story isn't over just yet. You see here, despite the fact that the game was only released in Japan, there have been a lot of people who have gotten GMs that aren't from Japan. How did we get to that point? Well, the story of how TGM got a following outside of Japan is a really interesting story, and is one that I am definitely planning to cover at some point. But for now, hey, this is Arrow. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then, feel free to like, subscribe, share with a friend, comment down below what you thought of the video. Also, thank you to everybody that watched part 1. I am really surprised on the turnout on that video. Go check out everybody that I mentioned in the special thanks. They are all amazing people and talented and really good at video games. So, yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a good one.